Can I ask you the $1 million question right now, Caroline?
Sure.
How would you mend the political cultural divide in this country right now?
I think what we're lacking in politics, what we're lacking in conversations generally, is the ability to validate, see something in the other person's perspective that makes sense and attend to that while not necessarily agreeing. Like there's some combination of like psychology, validation, and improv comedy. I think those are the recipes to world peace.
I'm getting that stitched on a pillow right now. This next segment is called That's So Valid. And much like the game of Yes and Caroline and Scott, you'll have to validate my Nana.
Nana's here. Nana has entered the room.
All right. Well, you know what? My boyfriend and my best friend ran off at the cocktail hour at the home that they were throwing in the lobby. So I found them outside and I poured my prune juice with vodka on both their heads.
There's something there that's so valid. Your man's stepping out on you, right?
That's what I said.
Yeah, I'd want to pour stuff on his head too.
I'm Scott Barry Kaufman.
And I'm Allison Reese.
I'm a psychologist.
And I'm an improv comedian.
And using the affirmative powers of yes and, we're going to attempt to do the impossible.
Mend our cultural and political divide. This might get awkward. Awkward. Today we're stoked to talk to Dr. Caroline Fleck. She's a licensed psychologist and teaches at Stanford. And her new book titled Validation breaks down the skill of seeing someone else's perspective without necessarily agreeing to it.
In today's episode, she'll teach us how to find the kernel of truth in someone's perspective and why she thinks it'll save us all. We'll talk about Caroline's favorite comedy bit and why it shows what happens when validation goes a bit too far. And later we'll play a game Allison calls That's So Valid, where we have to validate deep, dark confessions from a very special guest who is quite the character. Caroline Fleck! How the heck are you?
I'm well. How are you? Hi, Allison, how are you?
I'm good. We're so excited to have you here today.
I'm so excited to be here.
Can you introduce yourself to our audience a little bit?
I'm Caroline Fleck. I am a licensed psychologist. I specialize in a type of therapy called DBT. I am also an executive coach and author of the book Validation.
Yes, it's a really good book. It's a really good book.
Thank you. I appreciate
that. Validating the book.
Thank you. The most validating thing people can do is read it, right? Like that. Then I feel
That's
like,
true.
oh yeah, I feel so seen and heard.
Yeah. Well, why did you decide you wanted to write this one?
You know, as psychologists, you learn a bunch of stuff in terms of helping you establish rapport, build relationships quickly under high stress situations. And these skills that I learned, in graduate school have been far and away the most useful things I learned out of everything I learned. And they apply to all relationships. And learning this stuff was like seeing the matrix. Like all of a sudden, I could see and understand relationships and dynamics so much better. And so I'm like, why do you have to get a PhD in psychology to learn this stuff, right? Like that's ridiculous. It should be taught like in grade school. So that was the motivation.
Well, we need you. We need you for this whole show that we're doing. We were talking about how you're really going to help us lay a foundation in a lot of ways for helping us use tools and techniques from your book and from comedy. And from my own research to my own contribution to psychology to create just we want world peace here. That's the aim of this 6-episode series. Is we're trying to create just have everyone put down the whatever the stones they're throwing at each other and just listen to each other.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I'm not even kidding. I think we've got the recipe for it, like right here. Like there's some combination of like psychology, validation, and like improv comedy. I think those are like the recipes to world peace. Honestly, I'm not even kidding.
Can we put that blurb on the front page of our...
I'm getting that stitched on a pillow right now. For my living room.
I've got the tattoo right now.
I was going to say I've got it tattooed on my back.
Branding myself.
A big part of this is improv and comedy. And Caroline, we want to start this off with what is your all-time favorite comedy bit? And would you describe it for us?
Yeah. Sure. So it's a bit from the TV series Portlandia with Fred Armisen. I'm not sure if folks are familiar with it. And it's this scene where this couple, they're watching, like they're supposed to go out, the woman in this couple is like dragging her partner to go to some birthday party that he does not want to go to. And he's like, let's just watch one episode of Battlestar Galactica. And she's like, I've kind of heard a lot about it. Okay, we'll watch one and then we'll go. Okay, we'll watch one. I've heard this is good. We'll watch one and go. And then the bit progresses to them, like basically over the course of a week, that's all they do. Like they never go to the party. They then cancel work the next day. They then lose their jobs. And like all they're doing is watching back-to-back episodes of Battlestar.
Do you want to watch more?
My vacation day starts now.
So intense.
Oh my God, so good. Okay, let's just watch the first episode of season 2. That's all I want to see.
One more season.
I don't remember the last time I got in the bathroom.
Oh, my legs are like asleep.
I a little bit feel like I have a bladder infection, but I'm just gonna get antibiotics after the next episode. Yeah, okay, thanks. Bye. So I lost my job.
I love that.
I've seen it. I've seen it so many times, and I am like in tears right now. Like it is so funny to me. Oh my gosh.
I love Portlandia.
Oh my God.
Oh, go off, King.
Okay, Queen. Well, what, Caroline? This is our new thing. This is our new bit here. But Caroline, like, what is it about your personality that resonates so much with this kind of comedy?
Oh my gosh. So my vacation day starts now is something my husband and I say to each other at least once a week. Like it's so like we're co-conspirators. You know, there's that like the sense of we're like buddy and we're in this together and only we understand each other. And then at just like the teeniest bit of stress, they flip on each other. Right. And they're like, where's the remote? Like, I love that. Again, it's obviously like a very extreme version of what we just see play out again and again in relationships, which is like, this is bringing us closer. We're getting deeper. Only we understand each other. You don't understand me at all. Oh my gosh, get away from me. You're creating all my problems.
That's so real. I love that. I love that bit because like everything about it is on this basis of agreement. Like even down to Carrie Brownstein's character being like, all right, yeah, we'll watch one episode. And there wasn't like a fight or a conflict about it, really. It was just like, she's like, okay, we'll compromise. We'll do this one thing. And then they're just staying in agreement the whole time until you reach that fever point, until the comedy has heightened to that extent. Carrie being an active participant in that chaos is so fun. Cause like I can see a scene where she's like, no, like where it becomes the argument with Fred Armisen's character of like, no, we got to go to this thing, or having it be like that constant push up against, but her being a participant in the chaos makes it so much funnier.
I totally agree. And I think the fact that like you see their relationship like pseudo deepening, like in the beginning, you know, she's like, I love you. Like there's just this sense that like, oh, like we get each other. And then they have this conversation about this character star, but you know, that like only they feel kind of like they're part of the show now. And it's just their intimacy is increasing in such a weird, indirect way that I find just hilarious.
That would be such a great first date.
First date?
You know, that'd be something like, you know, in the years to come, you'd be like, you tell the grandchildren, let me tell you about our first date. You know, it was 12 hours and we binge watched.
Yeah, that's part of like what's captured there, right? Is that like, that is how it is this day and age. Like we have these indirect ways of connecting. We're like just sitting next to each other and watching 5 days worth of TV feels like deep connection, right? Like showing someone what you saw on TikTok and like, do they think it's funny? Like that's our level of connecting.
That's a love language for me. My love language is, you know, memes and funny bits. Actually, that being a first date is actually just kind of the norm in the world of lesbians. Speaking as a lesbian, I'm like, well, this is, yeah. We do these 12-hour dates. Maybe it's not binge watching a show, but maybe it is. Maybe my next first date, I'll be like, let's watch all of the Queer Ultimatum for our
That's
first
a great
date.
idea.
See how it goes.
Do it.
We won't trauma bond. We'll binge bond.
There you go. So much healthier. Like as psychologists.
I mean,
yeah, we can say that.
Okay,
we can weigh in and say that's healthy.
Okay, good. And I will be repeating that you said that. Yeah.
Please do. Yeah, widely. Mm-hmm.
But this is such a fun bit because like, using improv as our like, tenet. This is my North Star of like this basis of yes and, right? Where you agree with what the person's saying and then you just add to it, right? To build out a further, a broader scene, a broader perspective. And I thought that clip in particular did a great job of like expanding itself into the ridiculous. But I am curious, Caroline, what kinds of comedy do you not find funny?
My husband is really into, and I can't remember, the name. I'm really bad at remembering names, but it's a very popular show where basically the main character is just constantly doing like offensive, grating things, and people are having
enthusiasm.
Kind of like that. Yeah. Although Curb, I've had seasons where I got into, but like, yeah, that can start to grate on me a little bit. So there's something about the like, everybody is angry at and frustrated with like the main character. And that's the whole bit that for some reason grates on me a little bit.
That would make me feel like they're mad at me if I'm watching a show like that. I'm like, why is everybody mad at me? Because I want to identify with the main character typically. I have a thing where with rom-coms, I really have a hard time getting behind a dude who's really shitty at first. I can't
totally
do it. It's like a classic that everybody always gives me guff about not seeing with Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan. Yeah. What Sleep? No, that's
not Sleepless in Seattle.
Come on, guys. There's three of us.
Harry Met Sally. When Harry Met Sally.
Good Lord. There you go. Yeah.
I still have not seen it through because I'm like, ugh. This is just another guy being just kind of a jerk. And like, I can't get on board with it. And logically, I understand we're going to have an arc and growth. And like, that's part of it. You want to see this character learn and grow and be better. But yeah, I can't get behind that. Yeah, it doesn't sing to me.
This is the beauty of individual differences because I really resonate with Larry David. And all my friends basically call me Larry David. So,
really?
I feel like I'm constantly saying things and then say, what, no good? Like I'm constantly saying things like unintentionally offending somebody like, what, no good? This is the beauty of individual differences. But I feel like we're living in a society where everyone's offending everyone. And we're kind of not like appreciating individual differences. We're being offended that someone's different than us.
It's true.
Can I ask you the $1 million question right now, Caroline?
Sure.
How would you mend the political cultural divide in this country right now?
Wow. I got to say, that was a big pivot from Portlandia.
I know.
I low-key love it, but it was a big pivot from Portlandia to politics.
Yeah. When you think about it.
This is how we do it.
Coach. I gotcha. So
like this show should be absurd or else we're not doing our job, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's another thing my husband says all the time. I'll allow it. And it drives me crazy. I'm like, you know what? I'll allow it. It was funny. You don't get to stamp your approval. Of course, and this is it sounds like I'm plugging my own brand or my own thing, but honestly, I think what we're lacking in politics, what we're lacking in conversations generally right now is the ability to validate, see something in the other person's perspective that makes sense and attend to that while not necessarily agreeing. We've really confused the idea of like validation and agreement. So there's like, in other words, if I see any logic in your perspective, then I'm basically saying I agree with it. And that feels really dangerous. And so instead, we push back, we argue against, we give our counterpoints, and that's not dialogue. Like if nobody feels seen and each person keeps pushing to be heard and each party is refusing to see or hear the other person, like what are we doing? Right? I think that's the issue, at least as I see it.
Yeah, feels like more and more people just want to be seen, especially with all the stuff in the news about why did people vote this way or why is this happening? Where it's like, I think when you kind of, push everything back, you can get to this point of wanting to be seen and heard and validated. So, and also we really want to hear your perspective on this and like how it relates to your book and this larger conversation as whole, because we need this. Like Scott and I in particular, as we start to do this podcast, we're going to be bringing on a bunch of different people with a bunch of different varying backgrounds with like, you know, really polarizing views. And we want to be armed with the skills and the tools to have a productive conversation where we can kind of push back the fluff and get to the meaty, juicy center.
This is kind of blowing my mind because this feels really different, right? Like it's not just let's have these people talk at each other and we'll pick big personalities and big topics that'll grab a lot of attention. But like, actually, let's be intentional about how we have these conversations to try and do something different. First and foremost, I think that's really exciting and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, can I ask you like a nerdy psychology question?
Yeah, always.
A little shop for a second.
I'll close my eyes. I'll turn around. I'll face the corner.
Hold your ears, Allison.
I'll be the comedian in the corner, and I won't.
I want to bring in Carl Rogers for a second because when I was reading your book, I'm a humanistic psychologist, and Carl Rogers is one of my faves. And when I was reading your book, I was saying like, yes, I was validating like every page of your book. Seriously, I really loved it.
Oh, thank you.
And it really, I think it was similar to like the idea of unconditional positive regard that Carl Rogers talks about. Because when he talks about unconditional positive regard, he makes it clear he's actually not saying that he approves of everything. He's saying he allows it to exist, and there's a difference there. And so I was wondering if you've directly connected your work at all to his.
Very directly, I think. So validation. And in my book, I talk about 8 validation skills. And these are skills that like as therapists, we're trained in because the majority of the people that we're working with them because they're thinking or doing things that seem really problematic or ineffective or dangerous, right? So the urge to point out what's wrong and hammer that feels so high. Right? Especially when people are violent towards themselves or others. And yet it doesn't work. And so we needed these skills. I think one thing that DBT, the therapy that focused on validation, added to Carl Rogers' work was like, how do we really break this down into skills that build off each other and provide a reliable way to both feel that unconditional positive regard if you lack it and then communicate it.
You worked with Marsha Linehan, is that right?
I did, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
What a legend both of you are. Yes.
Yeah, no, she's a legend for sure.
she's the founder of this DBT. Now, DBT is usually or traditionally historically with borderline personality disorder, but anyone can benefit from it. I remember when I first learned about it and I learned about Wise Mind, and it changed my life. Like, honestly.
Oh my gosh, yeah, totally.
I did want to interrupt you real quick. Now I obviously know what DBT is, but for those improvisers and folks out there who are listening who maybe don't know what DBT is, because I absolutely totally know what it is. Could you maybe describe what that is for me or the audience?
So DBT, as we discussed, was originally kind of developed as a treatment for a condition called borderline personality disorder. The treatment itself combines behaviorism, right? Like stuff like positive reinforcement, shaping, problem solving, all these techniques that are really focused on change, right? How do we help change how someone thinks? How do we help change how they behave? And at the time DBT was developed, that's like the whole name of the game in psychology. It was all about these cognitive behavioral and behavioral interventions. But there were some folks that just like didn't respond well to being hit over the head with, we need to change how you're thinking, we need to change how you're feeling. And they would really push back. And so what DBT introduced, and it quite literally revolutionized the field of psychology in that it led to this whole new movement of treatments that were based on mindfulness and acceptance. It put equal emphasis, I should say, on like making the patient or the person feel accepted. So at the core of DBT is this message that sounds kind of contradictory on the surface, which is As the therapist, I see that you're doing the best you can and you need to do better. And those two things can simultaneously be true. And so as the therapist, I have strategies to help me balance those two messages. And validation is one of the ways that we communicate that acceptance piece.
This reminds me of a thing I used to say of like, we can hold two complicated truths at once, you know, of like, this can be true and this other thing can be true as well.
This is the yes and.
This is the yes and of it all. This is us finding this foundation of agreement so that we can go to a whole new place, right? So we can build something new together.
Well, I would say it doesn't have to be agreement. It can just be like, I can see how both of these things can be true, right? I'm a vegetarian. At the same time, I don't eat meat, but I can see a lot of reasons why somebody would, right? That doesn't mean that I agree with the decision, but I accept where they're at.
Well,
I can see that.
It seems like one of the hardest things for people to do nowadays is if they disagree with like a central political issue, they can't yes and say, but I still like you. That's a yes and I don't see much of. It's like if there's this one thing I don't like, this idea that I disagree with strongly, get the fuck out of here. I don't like you. But isn't it possible to like someone and vehemently dislike someone's ideas about something?
Okay, so this is actually, I'm so glad you teed this up because I think this, anytime. I think this could be helpful in terms of like, you know, episodes to come and trying to foster these conversations. This was like a light bulb moment for me when I was learning a DBT and validation. And they said, you know, you only need to find the kernel of truth in someone's perspective or their experience, okay? Their experience is defined by their thoughts, their emotions, and their behavior. So their thoughts might be valid, even if their behavior isn't, okay? Their behavior might be valid, even if their thoughts aren't. And you just need to find the one piece that is. So for instance, if someone, say, was thinking that they were watching television and watching the news and their podcasts, and they heard that aliens were going to attack the Earth, and they wanted to vote for somebody who was going to protect them from all of these aliens, I would understand why they might want to do that behavior of voting for someone who would protect them, given what they believe. I don't think their thoughts are valid in that I don't believe them to be based on facts. But I can validate their fear, their concern, and even on some degree their behavior given what they are thinking. And here's the kicker. If I don't do that, if I cannot find something to validate, I stand no chance of actually influencing their behavior in the end.
It's so profound. What you're saying is giving me chills. It's also a little cold in the room here, but I am getting chills. And
Scott has a fan right in front of him.
I do kind of have this fan blowing, but no, what you're saying is really profound. And I don't want to get too dark or too serious, but I just want people to know how profound this is because I've seen work applying the techniques you're talking about to people with borderline personality disorder who have a lot of suicidal ideation. And the only thing that helps these individuals is it's not saying, oh, you should just get those thoughts out of your head. Just be happy. That's the worst. Actually, that's the worst thing you can say to someone with suicide. So it's like, oh, why can't you just be happy like me? You know, that's the worst thing. The best thing is to totally validate where they're at. Especially with the people with suffering with depression. You know, the techniques you're talking about, that's the only thing that is going to get them. They want to know that their suicidal thoughts are valid, even if they don't want those thoughts, even if we don't want those thoughts for them, but at least just validating that those thoughts are existing. It's happening. And man, that sucks. Yeah. We said that at the same time.
Jinx. Yeah, we did. Yeah. And here's the thing. These techniques have proven effective in these super extreme situations, right? Where you literally have someone on a roof, right, threatening to jump, or there's extreme violence. Under these circumstances, we have proven to be effective and to facilitate change using these techniques. So if we're talking about just two people talking politics, right, like under those circumstances, this stuff works like amazing, right? It's like the fact that it works in these extreme situations is an indication of its potential. It's not a sign of like the limited cases for which it can apply. At least that was something I came to realize when I started using validation just in my life, right? I'm like, oh, I am a way better parent. I am a way better spouse. I am a way better friend, colleague, debater, what have you, because of these skills.
You go, girl.
Sassy Scott. I like Sassy Scott a lot.
This is what happens when I don't sleep so much last night. I'm sassy. Yeah.
Sassy Scott comes out to play. I love that. Of like it kind of, to me, just to sort of reiterate, like you want to find this kernel or this thing underneath it all that you can say like, yes, I see you, I see this. And then from there, what are the building blocks after validation?
Can I give an example? It's a little...
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Just because I feel like some of this can sound kind of heady.
Yeah.
So I had a client back when I was working in Seattle, and she was very high up at, I believe it was Amazon executive, but she had like some explosive behavior, let's say, right? And she needed to work on that. So she'd come in to work with me, and she came in with a problem, which was that her neighbors were doing the most obnoxious thing that a neighbor can do, which is to put their trash bags in her trash bins, right? So when she would go out at night to fill up her trash bins for the trash to pick up, it was full. And so she wanted to kill them. I suggested we try writing them an email, okay? And we used these like DBT interpersonal skills, this other set of stuff that you learn in DBT to craft what I've got to say. It was just a masterpiece of an email. Like it was beautiful. She says, it just, I know you don't mean to. She's doing all sorts of validation. We send it. She doesn't think this is going to work. It works beautifully. They respond, like they invite her over to game night. There's all this, oh my gosh, we didn't realize the other people who used to live there let us do it. Oh, we're so sorry. Everything is right in the world, guys. I'm feeling awesome.
Kumbaya.
And
yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, then I get a call at 3 a.m. about a week later. Yeah. And it's my client, and she's calling from the police department where she was taken.
She killed them?
No, she didn't kill them. No, that was getting really dark. But they did put their trash in her bin again, much to her dismay. And so she did slash their tires in a shared parking garage where there was videotape, security footage. And when the police came, she resisted arrest and she was taken in. And so when I got this call from her, my inclination was not to say like, oh, that is so frustrating that happened to you, right? I wanted to be like, what did you do? Like, this is ridiculous. Come on, right? Mm-hmm. Instead, what I said was something along the lines of, oh my gosh, you worked so hard to craft that message. And
you fucked it up.
Yeah, but like, I know. But when you saw that would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome.
When you saw their trash bags in your bin.
What I would have said. yeah.
Real Larry David.
And you fucked yourself.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. I said, when you saw their bags in your trash bin, it must have felt like a punch in the stomach. Mm-hmm. You'd worked so hard, right, to do this well, and it didn't work out. And instead of getting met with defensiveness, which is what she was primed for, because everyone around her, police, everybody else is saying, like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? This is wrong. Her defenses came way down. She started crying. Okay. And we sat there for a minute. And then, Allison, to get to your question in the longest way possible, I said, all right, so clearly this doesn't work. Now we've created more problems. And unfortunately, this has now overshadowed the initial issue, right? So now the focus is on you and not them or their behavior. So what do you think we should do? How can we repair this? And that becomes a way more constructive conversation. All right. So once that has landed, once the other person's defenses have come down, once there's this like, there's just this look in the eye of like, or we were on the phone, but like, there's just this palpable sense that like, okay, you get it. Once that's landed, then we can problem solve. Then we can talk about change.
You remind me of a quote from the famous psychologist Caroline Fleck, who says, quote, "You don't encourage good behavior by convincing someone they're bad." Um,
Yes.
I remember when I was reading your book and I got to that quote, it hit, as the kids, as my
Yeah.
students say, it hit, because,
Yeah.
but doesn't that relate to what you're saying? Yeah.
100%. And I think that's what so much of us are trying to defend against, particularly in these political discussions right now, where it feels like there's good guys and bad guys. And like everybody is either a good guy or a bad guy, and you're trying to prove which one you are. And so like once you've solved for that, right? Like once you make it about decisions and behavior, not character, the temperature comes way down.
Yeah, it's almost like we're doing splitting writ large in society right now in politics, with each other.
Yeah.
Like splitting is
Doing
a
what?
psychiatric. Yeah, I will explain. Allison, it's a
I was like,
specific
huh?
splitting is a psychiatric concept seen in the borderline personality disorder literature, where these patients tend to see themselves as either all good or all bad, but also with others, they can switch in a second. Someone's their protector, their idol, and then the slightest thing, the whole perception changes in a second. Now they're evil. Caroline, don't you kind of feel like we're treating each other like that psychiatric aspect has like become like just how we treat each other? And
We're actually, I mean, so BPD can be kind of an extreme of that black or white thinking. But here's the truth. We are all susceptible to that, right? And the more stressful, the more, frankly, if I'm to get really technical, like sympathetic arousal, the more distressed we are, the more likely we are to think in terms of black and white, good and bad, right and wrong. That was evolutionarily adaptive, right? Like, if a lion's coming at me, I don't need to be like, having all of my higher faculties, firing, like, what conversation could I make? And look, they look so beautiful. And I wonder why they're coming that way. I need to fight or flee. Okay. And so that is what we are reduced to when we feel attacked. We don't articulate our points. We don't see things clearly. We don't see the gray. We see black and white.
this show is called This Might Get Awkward. I don't feel like we've been that awkward yet, or maybe we have.
Yeah,
the joke's on me, but actually, Scott,
it's been plenty
Scott.
awkward.
Don't you worry about that. You're living up. But like, can we ask you like something controversial?
Please, yes.
Has there ever been someone you've met, like, just be straight up honest with us, where you're like, yeah, I don't think there's anything to validate in this human. Like, honestly, if I'm being honest with myself, yeah, I know all the things I write and talk about, but if I'm being honest with myself, this is a garbage human right here.
Garbage human. No.
Good for you.
But you know what I will say? So as a therapist, you don't get to like pick who you hang out with in terms of clients. Like a client comes to you and you're going to work with them. And so you're basically forced to not only like spend an hour in a room with this person once a week, but also to like figure out a way to work with them. And so I have found that in my therapy practice, like in that setting, I am much more deliberate and effective at like finding that kernel of truth, finding something to like, finding something to work with. Whereas like when it's my obnoxious neighbor, I'm like, screw him. Like I don't do that extra mental legwork, which I find disappointing, frankly, in myself. But I also think it says something about what it takes, really, the intentionality it requires to see people as they are and not as we project them to be.
Can I end that for a second?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's not just intentionality. I think what I'm getting at, I think is also you have to be motivated. So like sometimes I'm like legit not motivated. I don't like if I meet like a white supremacist, or I meet like let's say I meet like, like the local Hitler wannabe, down the street, and he's like, hello. And I'm like, yeah. I'm not motivated to find anything to validate in this person. So is that valid? Can you validate me for not wanting to validate some people?
Yeah. So in that situation, it's also like, what is the aim here? So in therapy, it's very clear. I'm in a position to change. That's motivation for me. But in that situation, like, what are you going to do? Meet with this guy once a week, sit down with him for 4 hours and have a conversation? Like, no. Right. And so is it worth your time? It has to be a two-way street. You also have to have like the time, the space, the resources, to do it. So, but like, if that person was your brother, who had become radicalized in some degree or some way. I think that becomes a very different situation.
It reminds me of something called the tolerance paradox. Are you guys familiar with that?
No.
So the tolerance paradox is you want to be tolerant of other people, right? But when you become tolerant of all people, that means you're starting to become tolerant of intolerant people and intolerant ideals. And it kind of creates this cycle. Like you don't want to tolerate intolerance.
I got you.
Yeah, something in that you had said in there of not wanting to validate the invalidate. Something there was something in there that was that rings true to me because you want to. Yeah, you don't want to say something is okay that is absolutely not okay, right?
Which is so critical.
Yeah,
it's such an important point, and I want to make this really clear. By validation, I don't mean like you're co-signing on their beliefs or whatever else, or that you should be even implying that you think it's okay. That is not what validation is.
It's not agreement. Right? Yeah.
And it's not validating the invalid. So in that situation, their thoughts, I think, are invalid and dangerous. I'm not going to validate that. I can understand, I could perhaps validate their emotions. Like I can see why you'd be really threatened given X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
But I worry that you're being led astray here, right? Both of those things can be true.
This is like reminding me of an improv workaround that I've been confronted with time and time again as like a woman in comedy of like, you're supposed to yes and your scene partner. You're supposed to validate the reality they're bringing to the scene and build upon it, right? But when your scene partner, when what they give you is something that is totally maybe not sucks, but is maybe offensive or belittling to you, you don't want to validate that. And it was in some book somewhere of like, I want to say it was Stephanie Weir, her scene partner came onto the scene and was like, honey, where's my dinner? Blah, blah, blah. And she goes, honey, it's Madam President to you. Of like, she took what they gave her and said, no, you're not going to belittle me. I'm going to make myself I'm going to give myself this status. I'm not going to validate the invalid. You know what I mean?
Right. If anything, she highlighted it, right? She highlighted it there by doing that Madam President.
I just got another chill, guys. Guys, you just gave me another chill.
You gotta turn that fan off. You gotta turn the fan off.
It's so good. It's so good. Okay, hold on. Let me turn the fan off.
And the fur coat. The fur coat, take it off. It's a bit much.
That's just my chest hair, Caroline. Are you referring to my chest hair?
I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
But for those listening, Scott is wearing a fur coat of chest hair.
Yeah, awkward. Okay, that was a little awkward.
So awkward.
Yeah, that's not my coat. But no, what I love about what you guys are saying, the reason why I just got this kind of pseudo chill is because by validating it, actually, in a way, it puts you in a position of control. It actually allows you to control the outcome. Same with the SN, same with like Allison's great example. You know, it like I think so often we think we're going to be in more control if we show anger, immediate sort of knee jerk, like screw you, you know, go to hell. But actually, that doesn't. That's not like you can see everything change once you just start with something like a validating statement or just like it's. Well, I guess it goes back to like if you're a professor, they say like to give feedback, always like start with like even if a paper sucks, right? Like you start off with like, you know, I see that you put in some good effort. You know, thanks for effort. However, let's talk about how shitty this paper is. But if you start off with the beginning, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, but if they didn't put in a good effort, you don't need to actually validate that, right? I think that's a trap parents fall into is like they have to say like, oh, I love it. This piece of crayon, you know, this line you drew on the wall without thinking about or caring. Like, you don't have to give a trophy for that.
That's fair enough.
This actually, oh man, see, this is going to go sideways again if I bring up this example, but now you gave me chills because it totally, I had like a yes and insight just now on a situation with my daughter. Can I share it or is it too off topic? Because we're talking politics now.
Too off topic in comedy and psychology. Yeah.
All right, but now it gets dark too. This is kind of a dark, but whatever. I've shared this before. Okay. Oh,
Mark
thank
is
you.
great.
Okay, good. All right. I was diagnosed with breast cancer right after finishing my book. Okay. And I had to go through the whole kit and caboodle of chemo, radiation, you name it. And my daughter, she is 11 now. She was, must have been 8 or 9 at the time. She had a very difficult time around me losing my hair. So she felt like I was a fundamentally different person as a result. So she kind of pulled back from me. And it's been, we've been rebuilding our relationship over the last couple of years. And it was several months back. She said to me, we were having this kind of tender moment, lights were off, playing around. And she said, "Oh, I don't want to look at you, but keep talking because you sound like my old mom." And I said, "Baby, I am your old mom. I love you. I have always loved you. That's never going to change." And she kind of, got quiet, and then we went on to something else. And I realized, a day or two later, I had completely failed to validate, but also kind of yes and, right? And to say for this kid, she feels like she's mourning the loss of someone that nobody else recognizes as gone. That's got to be incredibly lonely, incredibly difficult. And so a couple nights later, I followed up with her and I tried to kind of do more of I tried to validate. But as we're talking about it, I also see it really as like a yes and. I said, the other night when I just quickly said, I'm still your mom, I still love you. I don't think that was fair because you feel like I have changed. And that is a valid, real feeling. And it almost must feel like someone, like mommy, a part of me died and we don't get to talk about it. And she just really broke down and hugged me and just really, really started talking. But that is the difference that I see here, right? I don't agree with her belief that I've changed. I've changed in some ways, but not in the categorical ways that I think she sees it. And so I needed to validate her experience, though, if we were going to connect and actually work on this effectively. I can't just deny it away.
That really resonated for me. When I was junior high school, my Nana got sick. And I had a very similar reaction as your daughter.
Really?
I very much pulled back. Yeah. And it was because I was my Nana was a clown. She was very vibrant, a literal clown. Yes. Okay. Let me,
in the circus?
Kind of. Well, not the circus.
Adorable.
Not that kind of clown. She was like a birthday clown. She showed up to my 4th birthday. She surprised me. Was like, "I'm here. It's Trixie." And I'm like, "That's Nana.
Oh my gosh.
You can't put a wig on and trick me, lady. I know that's Nana." And she was just such a bright, bright light. And when she got sick, I very much pulled away. And I resonate with that so deeply. 'Cause it felt like, oh, this version of you that I know is not the version of you in front of me, even though it's still you,
Yeah.
So I thank you for sharing that. That was very,
oh, of course. Oh, I'm so I think part about the other piece to that is I also don't want her to feel guilty, right? Or bad about not as you're describing in your situation, I would imagine being oh, I'm not being there for them. I'm not being
I still feel
good.
guilty about that. Yeah. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And to say no, hun, it makes sense that this is hard. You're not a bad kid because you pulled back. I'm not mad at you. I just understand where you're at, right? And I'm sorry. I'm sorry this is the case. It feels like a very different conversation, and it feels like we're accepting reality. That is your reality. We need to accept what it is if we are going to get to any type of a different place.
Does validating people make it more likely for them to kind of want to automatically validate you in return? Have you noticed that there's a natural tendency once you do that? Was your daughter then more likely to be like, you know what? I think maybe I should have validated you more than I did. Does that work that way?
Well, she's 9, so if she had said that would have been mind blowing. But what she did say, to your point was you are still my mommy and I love you. And she put her hands both hands on my cheeks. Right. But and that does speak to your point, is that like when we see another person, their inclination isn't to hide from us or cower, but to look at us straight in the eyes and be like, I can see I feel safer. Right. You're not as threatening to me anymore.
Oh, it's a safety thing. Yes. Cause you talk in your book about fear. And you have this great quote that I want you to elaborate on. You say, fear is a liar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one, Caroline.
In the ways we've discussed, right? Fear reduces us to fight or flight or freeze. Okay. And it makes things seem much scarier than they might actually be. Okay. So once you turn down the volume on fear, you also turn down the volume on anger. And I think at the core of a lot of our disagreements and a lot of our frustration and anger towards each other is this fear, right? That we're doing irreparable damage to our planet, to each other, to the system. And that if we can turn down or at least speak to that directly, that goes a long way.
I fully agree, because every time I see somebody who doesn't agree with me or what I believe to be true, I can very much see that it's usually coming from a place of fear, because a lot of my beliefs are also coming from a place of fear. It's just we're going about it differently, right?
Anger is typically considered a secondary emotion in psychology, right? Like we consider it a reaction to another fundamental primary emotion. And that emotion is typically fear. And so I really encourage folks, next time you're angry, you're in it with your partner, your spouse, your kids, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Am I afraid of them disappointing me or reflecting poorly on me? Am I afraid of losing them? Am I afraid that we are fundamentally different and this is not going to work out? Like, what is the fear? And then speak from that, address that if you can.
Absolutely. This next bit is a little game I like to call That's So Valid. So,
I love it.
Here we go.
Basically, I'm going to say increasingly wild statements, and Caroline and Scott have to validate them by saying, that's so valid, before validating me. So I'm going to get into a little intro. So in its basic, most successful forms, comedy finds areas of validation as a foundation. So the most important tenet of improv comedy is that idea of yes and, which is accepting what another person says or does and then adding to it. It's about building upon ideas rather than rejecting or negating them. So, for example, a person might say, I'm so glad we came to this circus for our anniversary. The other scene partner might say, yes, and it's really going to help me overcome my fear of clowns. So to me, yes and has a lot of overlap with Caroline's work in using validation as a DBT tool and an instrument for positive change. You find areas of agreement and then you build upon them. So this next segment is called That's So Valid. And much like the game of yes and, Caroline and Scott, you'll have to validate my Nana. Not my Nana, who I talked about earlier. Different Nana. Characterization of Nana. She's a brash older woman with a colorful life and an even more colorful vocabulary. And in just a moment, I'm going to bring Nana in here, and she's going to present each of you with a statement or piece of information that she wants validation on. And it's up to you both to validate her by saying, that's so valid, Nana, and then validate it. Now, audience, I do want you to know that neither Scott nor Caroline knew that I was going to be doing this today. So to raise the stakes, I'm going to give you points for each answer that validates Nana and her wild statements. And in the end, we're going to tally up the fake points and award the winner nothing, because the points don't actually matter. So give me one moment and I'll go grab my Nana.
I love it. I am low-key freaking out.
I'm low-key having a panic attack right now. Nana's here. Nana's in the room.
All right. Well, you know what? Hey there, baby. How you doing? It's your Nana.
Hi, Nana.
Now,
I've missed you.
You missed me.
Oh, yeah.
Forget you ain't visit me, so of course you miss me. First off, I want to ask Scott, Do you like my new outfit? I got it off my bestie Cheryl. It looked better on me, but it wasn't easy getting it off her, what with her being in a casket and all, you know.
Ooh.
But she did. She ain't gonna need the hat. It's my hat now. Ain't that right?
That's so valid that you would have that coat. It just makes you pop. Everything's popping.
Really
Head to toe.
And,
head to toe popping.
Head to toe popping. Cheryl, she ain't gonna be popping anytime soon, you know. Because she did. Yeah. Yeah. Now, all right, my next statement here. You know, my boyfriend and my best friend ran off at the cocktail hour at the home that they were throwing in the lobby. You know? Well, he had a wandering eye, so I found them outside and I poured my prune juice with vodka on both their heads. Was that so wrong?
You know, there's something there that's so valid. Okay, like your man's stepping out on you, right? That's what I said. Yeah, I'd want to pour stuff on his head too. I mean, that's a valid desire. Now, I don't know if I'd have done it. That might have created more problems for you, right?
It did, yeah. No, we got into a fight. We did get, not me and him, me and my best friend. Her name is Carol, and we got into a fist fight. But that's fine.
You're right. Fight?
Well, yeah. I mean, nothing connected. We old, right? Yeah.
Nothing connected.
You know, I do want to say this next belief has gotten me into a lot of trouble, baby. Okay.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
It's just that I hate that wet ass little hippo Moodang. You know what I mean? More like Moodang. More like boo, damn it. Get it out of here. Why is it wet? Why is it wet like that? I don't like that. My hat came off. So mad at that damn hippo.
Valid. Moodang, because if it makes you feel any better, Moodang pays me a visit too on certain select Sundays.
Pays on a visit to you? What did you say?
Pays me a visit and gets slobbers all over me. And so I know how that feels.
Thank you.
It's not fun.
All right, that made me feel a lot calmer about Moodang.
Yeah.
I guess I'll chill out about Moodang. That wet ass little hippo can live. Actually, you changed my mind, Scott.
Oh, saved a life.
Please, because I kind of like the hippo.
Yeah,
not gonna lie.
I won't go that far to say I like it. I will tolerate the hippo. Now, okay. I have my neighbor Carol. She's also my best friend, Carol. And by neighbor, I do mean the woman who lives in the room next to mine at the home, right? Well, Carol, she a witch. Yeah, she a witch. She be leaving chicken bones outside my door, girl. She trying to curse me with the voodoo. No. Chicken bones outside my door, that's a curse. Yeah. And you know what? And she trying to get me killed. She trying to get me to work on the chicken bones and be dead. You know what I mean?
So you scared? Yeah. Are you frightened?
I'm terrified. She trying to kill me with hoodoo, girl. I'm from New Orleans. I've been to New Orleans. I'm not from it, but I've been to New Orleans. I've seen a thing or two.
Yeah. That's valid.
Outside the door is a curse.
Oh,
I'd be scared.
This shit. I believe in black magic, so that is so valid.
Well, I don't know if I believe in black magic. Well, I don't know if I believe in white or black magic, but if I thought that my neighbor was trying to put a hex on me,
and do black magic though, just
whatever it takes. I don't believe in any of it. So, but that's not to say that it's not valid to be terrified if that's what you think's going on. We just need to get to the bottom of whether or not that's going on. Don't you think? We got to figure out if that's actually going on.
We do got to figure it out, girl. You know what? I'm going to throw this hat in the garbage, put on my detective hat, really give it to Carol, see what's going on. You right. I got to maybe because you know what? Now that I think about it, she old. She might just be dropping chicken bones that she's eating in the hallway. You know, I do that from time to time.
I mean, we all do. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. And you know what? My last little thing that I need a little validation on, baby. Scott, hey girl, you know, I decided to become the air sex champion of the United States. Is that crazy?
The air sex champion?
The air sex champion. That's a real fucking thing. The air sex champion. I've honestly, and you know what? I may or may not have had a roommate who was the air sex champion.
Uh-huh.
And it's basically you just go up to a song and you pantomime sex, but you're clothed. You got clothes on.
Obviously, yeah. Are there hippos involved?
Hell no.
Oh my God. Y'all getting too freaky over here. But I was like, Nana, I just want to validate that, because if when I really in my head, when I think Nana, I think synonymous with air sex champion. So the fact that you brought this up does not surprise me, to be honest, because you bring that energy everywhere you go.
I really do.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I do, girl. That's right. Damn.
That's what I was picking up. Yep, that's what I was picking up over here. I couldn't put my finger on it until you labeled it air sex energy. But that's it. That's
air sex energy.
You bring that.
ASE. You know what?
That ace. You bring that ace.
You bring that ace of base, baby. And you know what? I think this cured all my problems. I think I'm good. I think I'm gonna live another 100 years. So thank you for that. Hey, you know that I'm the world's oldest Black lesbian.
Are you really? Is that a fact?
Audre Lorde died, and now it's just me. So, you know. Anyway, baby, I gotta go.
We love you for it. Yes. We love you for it.
Okay. I gotta get. And you know what? Release the hippo. I ain't gonna kill him no more.
Caroline, we just saved a hippo. A hippo's life.
I said I was a vegetarian earlier. I mean, it is for animal reasons. So it's moments like these that make it all worth it. All of that training and validation.
Feels like we did a real good. Doesn't it feel like we just did a real good?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Nana's a little chaotic.
So much for putting up with her.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, I'm back.
Hi. That's your Nana.
Back,
wow, she's got real ace energy.
Really?
Ace.
Real asexual energy? Real ace energy.
No, what do you call it? Ace S?
No, air sex energy.
Air sex.
Air sex energy. Yeah, no, she's you know, she tends to pop off every now and again. Specifically about air sex.
I'm there for it.
Yeah.
That'll happen with the air sex energy. You'll pop off every now and then. I'm really excited to see how this generalizes to conversations on politics. Like the hippopotamus air sex energy.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being here with us today.
Truly. Thank you.
My pleasure. I would love to do this, every day of my life. This would be so fun. This was a blast.
Did you enjoy it?
I genuinely had this is the most fun I've had on a podcast, hands down.
Good.
I loved it.
Good. Thank you. This Might Get Awkward is hosted by me, Allison Reese, and Scott Barry Kaufman. Our producers are Julia Pinheiro, Kelly Leonard, and Gabrielle Yasik. Our editor is Peter Cooper. Mix and master by George Miata. Graphics by Alec Hall. Special thanks to Melissa Miller, APM Music, and the Argosy Foundation. This podcast is a production of The Second City.